Good morning. It's Memorial Day. It's a weekend, of course, but it's still Memorial Day. And I just want to bring your attention to the hundreds of thousands and millions of soldiers that love freedom and have died for it. And there's a big problem between them and us. When you hear 20,000 or 20 million people murdered, etc., all over the world, and all the horror, what you do not know is that you're part of what happened to those people. It's not your president, although Obama was a traitor. But let that go. You already know, or you should have seen, but most people didn't see because our decadence, I can't find the word. No, decadence, our decadence, I got it right. Our decadence has made all of this happen. Appeasers and appeaser, which most of you are here because you're troubled by that. The bullies are not here because they get pleasure in taking your life. If I'm a weak person and I'm an appeaser or just an ordinary person just coming out the womb, let's assume it is that. And when you're 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, someone said, "You stupid kid, shut up. You'll never be anything." The shock will put into that person, that kid, something of me who's wicked into him that's wicked, and he turns around and does it to others what was done to him or her. And it is a system. Do unto others what you would have them do unto you, not what you would have them to do unto you, or you would have them want to do unto you. Two different things. Two completely different things. What do unto others as was done to you, and do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Two different things. 2 miles away. Now, when a person becomes upset, which most of you in this room have come here because you have been upset, you have demoralized. In the whole of the county here, everybody's got one of two things, but the most of them are appeasers. And appeasers are subject to bullies. And when they're subject to bullies, they are an appeaser to a bully, and the bully blesses them. And you could have a gang. You could have a miserable household where you're a bully and the woman, or the women who do it to the husband who's weak like a woman and she's strong like a man. He is now subject to her. And the kids, it's all upside down. And what I'm saying here is you're sitting here as a bunch of appeasers. You're an appeaser, you're an appeaser. You're better, aren't you? Yeah. That's right. And you're coming because there's more to see. And that's good. It's good we get settled and speak with each other. But 95% of all the misery on earth, 95% comes from one thing that is obvious and one thing that has caused it to be obvious, which is not obvious. I'm going to be talking to you about the not obvious. Now let me start from the very beginning. From the very beginning since I was a kid, and which is different from when you were a little kid and you grew up. Adam and Eve is a death trap. In other words, what happened to him expanded through the human race. Because you've done this thing, and you shall, man shall be tied to his woman and become one flesh. And that is backwards, excuse the expression, back to front. And so therefore, ever since paradise was lost, the woman is in charge of life, always. And the man born of woman is subject to her because she's above him. And what's above her or below her, because she is an extension of Adam, who's the extension of God, who was, isn't. And therefore, what's in a woman is not her fault, because he should have said, put down the fruit. And none of you put down the fruit. You never say to your wife, put down that fruit, put down that whatever that is wrong. What you do is look to her as you come out into the world. I said this before. I have to say it again because we got new people listening on Facebook. Hello, Facebook. Okay, we're back to business. Women are subject to the dark side of the force. And if you look at politicians, they're part man, part woman. There's no manhood. The man is part woman because he's subject to her in that order. Where it would be, had it been, and God knew it wasn't going to be, there's only be two people like that. First of all, he makes man in his image. But it was paradise, and there was trees, and there was magic there. But he knew what he was doing. God knew what he was doing. What he wanted is, what he expected and wanted is, if he allowed it to happen over and over again, Adam would lose. He doesn't understand the forces that are on the other side of the woman. There's always where those forces came from is another story. I've got the story. I have the story perfect, but that's not now because it's too metaphysical. But there's a realm, and when you fail to deal properly in the right way, that's where you'll end up. Your body is your body, and within your body, faith or doubt grows. And everybody comes into the world, into culture, and the culture gets into them. I've said that before, and I have to say this because I've said it before, but it's important that you grasp it. And so when you come into the world, you have the same intuition as Adam had, if you're a man. And if you're a woman, you're still a bitch. Excuse the expression. You're still subject to the dark side of the force. The danger is that because God said, because you've done this thing, so shall a man be bonded to his wife and become one flesh. And there is where the knowledge, where the saying is, man born of woman. How the hell else can it be? But still, how can the hell be reversed? Why can it be reversed? Is because when you come into the world as a man, as you come into the world as a man, You are not a man. Let me just backtrack a little bit. You have an intuition, just like the woman has a intuition. Her intuition is, please help me. Please love the hell out of me, but don't come and look for me to give the hell into you. Men look to the woman because something's missing and he doesn't understand what is missing and he's subject to the woman. And because your father never understood it and he had failure to discipline his wife, and every man is afraid to discipline his wife, and the only way he does it, when he can't get what he wants one way, he becomes a bully another way. And then he gets what he wants, and damned if he gets it, and damned if he doesn't. Now, that's the opening. And that's what's wrong with the country. As a result of that, every man that's born of woman has an intuition, but it is blown away. It is disintegrated because the man is either a weakie, an appeaser, or a bully. And either one does not help the woman any. She needs the love that takes the hell out of her. And rather than embrace the hell in her, which comes up from the hell the evil's in, and which is spread through the human race of every creed, color, and creed. Again, I got it mixed up a little bit. You know what I mean. Who understands that? Is that clear? So the problem is a man is not a man until he finds a Jesus. Until that time, the very best were scribes and Pharisees, but they all had intellectual aspects they learned, and it's just words and words, but there's no depth to the words, and you're subject to the authority of words. But the words of God are not words. They are intuition. And then in that intuition, you have no emotion. You're not an animal. You're not a fallen creature, which makes you an animal in conflict with your human, right? If you get upset, if you upset me and I get upset, you have put yourself in me and I turn around and do it to somebody else. Or the only other alternative is to give in to that person and makes him bigger and hungrier. And maybe he would do it to other people. And you have a gang or you have a country. That is one way. Do unto others as what was done to you, creates a whole country full of that, like Germany, ISIS. The cruelty, the dark side of the force still comes up for the women. And they keep those women, ISIS keep those women to keep them murderers. Because the more they use them, because there's a pleasure in using a woman. Do you know that? A tremendous pleasure that will use that woman. And she tends to get angry in a civilized country, but ISIS has found a religion where she cannot disagree and she can suck anything he wants out of her and make him have a sense of worth that's utterly worthless, but he becomes a murderer. I had a person that worked to me, he actually ran my foundation in England when we first started. I didn't know what kind of person he was. And he told me a story about his life with women. And I'm coming back to different things in just a minute. And he said he made a sort of kind of a mashy spaghetti thing. He was an individual and single and a bit old and fat, and he has a car that the politicians give him, and he seemed to understand everything I said, but he had memorized it. He said every time he eats his mess, he called it a mess, and I forget what that mess was, and you'd laugh if you knew what it was. But as long as he was eating and getting pleasure, he could remember everything I said. But it didn't have to have any meaning as long as he said what he said and everybody liked him. He could remember everything I was saying, word for word. There are people like that. But it wasn't me. And he said, he admitted, as if he could get me into that. And we were sitting by each other. And he says, every time I had sex, I wanted more sex. And then, because the sense of worth is lifting, but also it includes anxiety, and then blame for that anxiety. And the men blame the women for the fact that they've bullied them into submission and given them pleasure. And the woman's getting angrier and much more susceptible to his authority. And so this man had such a desire with sex, an addiction to it. That's like you have addiction to anything. You got addiction to something. Smoking, drinking, drugs, food. But sex is the beginning of it, or is really the beginning of it. Because it's hell on earth. Because he draws from Eve what Eve wants to be delivered from. You see? And so every time a man has sex with a woman, that which indicates he wants her to give him a sense of worth, which is more worthless. In other words, he feels like a king, but he's becoming a pauper. And he either becomes a pauper or a bully. If he's a pauper, he has an appeaser. If he's an appeaser, he nags. He buys roses. He buys a car. And she will give in, and then she will be obligated to give him something back. And it was worth the price of the car if she damages it. All he wants is that sex. He wants it that's desperate. And then he has anxiety, as ISIS has anxiety. And when a man has anxiety, when anybody has anxiety, they want to accuse others of what they did. And Karl Marx says, do unto others, accuse others of what you do. If I accuse you of what I do, you will take it on when you get shocked and you become me. Do you understand that? How many people understand it? Only one? Let me see. I'm not going to move until I get hands. That's it. Even if you didn't mean it. It works. I have to have a little levity. But this is the misery. The misery is women have an appeaser, can be appeasers, and men can be appeasers. And when women get bullied by men and having to give what shouldn't be given, she begins to hate men. But she feels insecure. What she looks for is a person like Obama, who rises to the occasion of their needs and makes her feel better for this man that's half woman. But he's the president, and he can appease her and have as much sex as she wants, and kill the baby, and find a different man rather than a husband. And if it's with a husband, it's a boyfriend, and virtue disappears from the scene. And when virtue disappears, you're either a bully, which are small in number with respect to the number of people he can control. And you got to be very careful of your what is Trump? He's the president. You got to be, all the presidents you ever had except Reagan are appeasers. And the last one was the perfect appeaser, because he loved all the women. And he put the women first, exactly opposite to what God requires. In other words, darkness comes through the woman and it frees her to have sex with her own what do you call it? Her own kind, not other women, having sex with another woman, and men, and servicing every kind of man she can think of and destroying him for being a husband. Sooner or later, he wants to get married and he hasn't got it in him. And unconsciously, either he is too violent or too appeasing. And either way, he gets what he wants. And if he doesn't get what he wants, he goes to other women. It never ends. There's no happy family. There's no happy family. And the children come into the world, and they come into the culture. So you're born in Borneo, you would be a cannibal. And if you're born in Hitler, you'd be a Nazi. And then with the appeasers who can't kill and can't murder and can't go in the front, they helped to appease all the soldiers and make sure they got all their killing machines kept up. Gunpowder, bullets, everything. That's all it is. One man can do that, doing unto others what was done to him to a great degree. Every child, even Hitler, was born into what is the word I'm looking for? Into the world, into the country, into the customs. And so the customs came into him. It was angry customs when in the First World War they lost, and everybody was angry because money was worth nothing, and everybody was angry, and therefore he came in on that and turned the hostility towards everything, towards the Jews. And in order to get all the money and the silver and the gold and the diamonds, and to continue his work, he's found a way to encourage and embolden the people to smash windows and to kill and murder. What I'm trying to say, this would never happen if everybody listening to me now understand the difference between doing unto others as you would have them do unto you, which is a whole stream, an endless stream, one influencing nobility to another, and so on and so forth. And so each coming from God and overcoming the overcomer from the day he was born. But if you do not have a good father, if you do not have an influence, if you come into the culture, if you come into the school, which is all corrupt and all corrupted because you're an appeasers, and you just, I can remember Ritalin and Prozac. What the hell are you doing giving Ritalin and Prozac to your kids, you stupid bastards? I say it on the radio. Nobody listens. And they let the teachers give that to the kids to dope them into learning, and et cetera, and to piss them off in every way they can, so they give in and become intellectual idiots, all knowledge and no common sense, or wandering the streets and not knowing what to do, but the possibility of recovering, because he keeps away from all of that, and he may recover and find what he was meant to be, because when he was born, he had intuition. And what I want you to understand, you are not made of intuition yet. Intuition is intuition. Intuition is knowledge, but not words. A way of understanding the lying of words. But in other words, Christians have lots of, and all the different religions have words. And it will sound very nice if you act them out and you do as you're told. And you do the best you can to be as sweet as you can, but you're not real. Because the words of your preacher and your rabbi and your teacher of every kind, you're just machines. And you do not have it in your heart. And you do not have God in you to create a purpose that is completely yours. I have one that's completely mine. You have one that's completely yours. You have one that's completely yours. But you're machines, and you haven't got past it. You should be, each one of us, you should become richer and richer and richer and richer and never stop being richer. But richer in what? In the ability to see clearly and never make a mistake. And the mistake that you make, trials and tribulation. Trials and tribulation are very necessary. That doesn't mean to say if you get hurt, see, and degraded, you do not have emotion that allows the other person to get inside you. You have a counter emotion. You have something that comes through you, but you can't feel it as emotion. You never feel it as emotion, but it just doesn't touch you. So it doesn't matter if you're ready to die. You have no fear of what you need to do. No greater love has no man that he's laid down his life for his friends. And I'm coming back to that day, you see. And so we've got those men laying, millions of them, in the gravestone, in the graveyard. And you give a little bit of credit. You forget them for the rest of the year. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. That's all you get. But to thank him for your service is to realize he died for you to become people. He died. No greater love has no man. He laid down his life for his friends, you. And they're all lying in the cemetery, millions of them. And who caused it? You. All of you listening to me, all of you, every man and every woman in this country is either a bully or a appeaser. How many people in this room appease? Let me see. Let me see it. And how many bullies are you? You are. You're a bully, aren't you? See, she knows it. Where's the normal one? Where's the one that's the extension of a creator that has no emotion, that knows what love is? Because the origin of love is not us, it's him. So therefore, if you're looking for love in the world, you're looking for love in all the wrong places, especially women. And then when that's complete anxiety, you have drugs, alcohol, food, everything else to give you a sense of worth. And see, everything you do, everything you achieve is a movement away from what he wants from you. We're talking about God. What you need to do is understand you cannot be one of those two. And yet the whole world is filled with only those two kinds of people, to varying degrees of wickedness. Where you are a bully to your wife, that's a bully to your wife. And if you give her a smack, that's a smack. But in ISIS, it's got to the point. And into many other organizations or countries. But I'm giving you the one that's the worst that you know about. So they have 2 or 3 women, and they screw them as much as they want. And if they and instead of have as much sex as they want, and the women can't complain because they get murdered. But on top of that, every ISIS man has a greater guilt. Every time a man has sex, he has more guilt. He has more hunger for the pseudo-love that's supposed to come up and make him feel better. But the pseudo-love is controlled by the devil, the dark side of the force. We do have a bright side of the force, and the man is supposed to be in charge of that. But there's also a perverted way of ISIS. But even ISIS, having 3 or 4 women, enjoying himself with it, blames them for the anxiety and the guilt that it performs. And to the point where he takes his hostility out and enjoys tormenting that woman and killing her. And all you have is a piece of that. But you run away from each other and then find other women, etc., etc. And we find different ways. But what happens to the kids? There's 80% of marriages ending in divorce. And the kids. And even when you are with your husband and you don't have any children, and what he does is look for approval from women, when the women really wants to love the hell out of her. And for that to love the hell out of her, a man must become a Jesus representative. And this is what I want to talk to you just a little bit about. Now, I'm going to start. Did you understand what I'm saying? In other words, there's only 2 ways you can go, and each way, the bully way and the appeasing way, because when you're an appeaser, you're a weak person, and you want a president that loves you and gives you what you need, and that was Obama. The more he created, more problems he created, the more work that they gave to other countries, and the more dependent on work, which is no longer there for the person, is demoralizing the person until there's only a few people worse being taxed, and those people working with that tax and that situation put on them is turned them into slaves, and they can do nothing, and your country's gone, and you almost lost your country because of what I just said. Doing unto others what was done unto you. When anyone does something to you, the tendency is either you appease it and become his slave and ignore your family, or destroy your family because you're giving all your energy to that person and not to yourself, or giving all your energy to your wife, which she doesn't need to be a woman, but only to be a person in control of him. And the children can see all that, and everything is upside down. There's a principle of paradise lost, and you must understand that. And you have to understand, you cannot allow yourself to be one of those 2 people, because one of those 2 people destroy the country. Literally only takes time, because you become appeasers. Most of you become appeasers with bullies, and you raise the bullies as if they were lovers. And Obama loved you the way you were, and made you lose more of your work and give it to other people coming into this country from Mexico, etc., etc. And the whole idea of his kind of man, because there's lots of them, called liberals, Marxists, really, who understand that, what I'm explaining to you. And they understand it very well, to infiltrate the schools, etc., etc., and do all those things that I described, to make the teachers of authority. No, there's no teacher of authority to me, and I'm not going to teach you. I'm going to show you how you should behave, show you what's wrong with you. And men needs to find. I understand man born of woman is subject to the woman. Yes, why he has conflict. And he doesn't know what to do with it. And as I explained it, he either runs away from her and finds another one, or gives in to her, or bullies her. It produces both of those two things. And the man I was talking about said, the more sex I got twice a week, 3 times a week, 4 times a week, 4 times every 12 hours, 5, and more, 6 hours, 3 hours, 1 hour, 10 minutes, a knock on the door, she's on the floor, he's on top of her, and that's the way it is. And that's the kind of man I hired by mistake, but I didn't know he was doing that. I got rid of him right away, of course, but that's how I learned it. And other people must be doing that too, but they don't explain it to me. And what he did was accuse the woman and blame her for his anxiety and be cruel to that person, just like ISIS, except ISIS has got more rights, so to speak, to do what he wants. That's what keeps him a murderer, because the more he has it, the more guilty he becomes, and the more hateful he becomes towards and projects it into the women, and projects it not into the women, but into the world itself, and to hate it, and to get other people to be afraid. And that is happening to you today. ISIS is you're being terrified and by ISIS. And in many people, the same principles work. The whole idea is to make you appease them, which you will do, because the principle's the same. Who understands what I'm saying? So, here I am, not talking about politics, but talking about spiritual factor that's missing in you. Do you see any signs of me being an appeaser? Put your hands up if you think I'm an appeaser. Put your hands up if you think I am going to take care of myself. I don't know when it happens, but I'm not going to let anybody do that to me. And if it's not possible for me to do it to them or to stand your ground, I'll just stand my ground and not let it go all away. Even if I was in prison for 50 years, I would not be resentful to the whole idea is to make me resentful, to make me forget who I am. I will never forget who I am. And when I was in prison, I would help the inmates to get better. I would practice my purpose there, which I did once for 30 days. And the chief cook and bottle washer of the prison let me off 10 days for good behavior. And the reason why I was in jail is because I was practicing medicine without a license. But I wasn't, they said it was, and they won in the trial. And so I had to go there for 3, but when I moved in there, I divided, all of a second, the Red Seas opened, and I came in, and one group wanted to put me in the tank, and I helped them every day. It was in newspapers. Hypnotist spells in cells. That was in the newspaper. Hypnotist helps spells in cells, meaning help people. And so I never stopped doing what I know is right. I love sharing it with you. And just every week you come, I will just make you see a little bit more. But here is something very serious, because most Americans get up and play. They enjoy their lives, and they forget their soldiers. Of course, there's families that love this country, and they are ready to give their lives. Ready to give their lives. No greater love hath no man that he lay down his life for the enemy, for his friends, I should have said. And that is a beautiful thing. I will lay my life down for my friends, for my country. That's why I speak out loud. I don't care what happens to me. And my enemy knows that I know more than our soldiers do. I'm not going to be a soldier like that just does as he's told. I want to make sure that we get rid of all the kind of people that, and it caused our country to collapse, is called the left. And basically the left are Democrats, but the Democrats are Democrats because they've taken on the nature of Karl Marx and have not understood it, that freedom to them, it means that they can do whatever the hell they want and be as happy as they want and have all the things they want, and they can do no more wrong. And they destroy their children, demoralize their children, neglect their children, not have any children. They killed 50 million of them because they were, see, do I have to say any more? And so there's more of them than there is of us. More of them. Thank God for Donald Trump, correct? Because we'd have lost the country. You can see this, and I've been telling you this of my country for the last 55 years on the air, every single day. Now, it's come to pass, and you're still one of those people, because you can't stop being one of those people. Once you have taken on that identity, you cannot get rid of it. You cannot stop being a bully, and you can't stop being an appeaser to a bully. You can't stop doing unto others what was done unto you. It's a chain of command. Yes. Well, you need it.
Well, I wanted to say that one of the realizations that I've had is that when someone bullies you, especially when you're a child, there's actually two resentments. There's the resentment for what they've done, and then there's the resentment for them taking away the opportunity for you to stand up. And sometimes you have to see they're both there, because I could kind of forgive what people...
No, what you're saying is the minute you come into the world, here it is. You can't see it. The mother cannot see what she's done. She cannot see she's loving the baby too much. Oh, isn't it beautiful? It seems natural, doesn't it? What should be is baby. It's sweet, but she has a feeling. She has a feeling that was lost by her home life. And she's made up her mind deep inside that when I grow up, I'm going to be the best mama in all the world. But she doesn't know what good is. And so therefore her purpose is understandable. She wants to be a good mother, but she doesn't know what good is. She does not know that where the mother was cruel, she's super nice and appeases the child that comes into the world and spoils him rotten. And it's called codependency. And codependency is what you have when you are a slave in political service, in political servants, see? And you cannot get out of it. But right now, you have a president who can help you now. But he still doesn't understand what I understand. He knows how to deal with it and to stop it. But if he dies, it all comes back again. So what you need is to understand that you are redeemed. You are pre-redeemed. Because when you come into the world, you will come into the world with intuition, which makes you human. You don't come into the world like a cat and a dog that has intuition. It has instinct. That's right. And instinct stinks for human beings. What you have is precious. The intuition is crushed. But mother does not know she's doing it. She looks like a good mother. But you find a good mother in a cancer hospital, and the child is beautiful. And the doctors themselves may not know that they're doing the same thing. And some of them die. And they wouldn't have died had they known what I've just told you. And some of the doctors are able to do it because they somehow have grasped it more differently. So I leave that alone, because I'm not saying everybody does it. I'm saying most. Your psychiatrist, your doctor, if you ask him, you have this agony, he will give you anything that will take away the pain, because he doesn't really know what causes it. He'll give it a name and then give you what you shouldn't have. See, now I'm going to talk to you now with great simplicity. I have spent about a half an hour. That is important to you, that you need to find what you lost when you came into the world. You lost your intuition, but it's still there. You lost your relationship with your Creator, and you gave it to your mother or your father. You either hate your mother or you hate your father. And understandably so, because the child that comes into the world with intuition finds that everybody in the world, every culture, without exception, and especially in America, shame on you. Shame on America. But they don't know what shame is anymore. And even the Christians on the right, they're better than those on the left who accuse you of what they do. At least they try to be Christian, but they don't understand. You cannot be a Christian just by reading words and playing it back. You have to understand what's behind the words. You have to read it and say, I know what that means. I see that. It's all a matter of seeing it. Now, I'm going to go right back to simplicity. May I share my early life with you? I've given you what's going to kill you all, because those on the right do not know how to deal with those on the left who accuse you of what you do, of what they do, and therefore they will overcome you because you don't know how to deal with that. See that? You don't know how to deal with it. I do. I know how to make it backfire on every single one. And I know, listen carefully, this is not boasting. Whatever is in me will kill you if you hate me for what I am. I want to say it again, so I want to say it. I warned my wife. I said, every time you get upset with me, you die a little bit. I've been through lots of things. I've been through the medical situation for no reason. Nobody ever found anything wrong with me, but I got sick. And as long as I can remember, I grew new arteries. I'm still here. I'm almost 90. You want to fight? I'll give it to you. I don't mean to be rude, but I have the spirit of it. I'm not the old man you think I am. Other people at my age can't function at all, but I can. And I want to know that when you find God, when you learn to sit still and fight God, find God, if you want to, you need to understand what it means to be still and know. And he says it with the other words. Well, I only remember these few words. Be still and know I am God. not him, not Obama, not even our present President Trump. Yeah. Forgive me, I have a little memory problem every now and then, but not too bad for my age. Okay, so now I just want to share with you. I came into a family like everybody else. My mother was decent. My father didn't say much. He was always there. And in the Depression, he could speak 11 languages, and he could make anything, a watch, a car, and he couldn't get a job. And one day he came in with broken watches and sat down just before the war and took one part out of another and made money with all those broken watches that somehow accumulated from some organization, hundreds of them. And so therefore, those watches were in sharp. Everybody needed them for the reasons, military or anybody else. And he made money, then he died. He was 42 years old. And but the interesting thing was, had he not died, I would not have be doing this, what I'm saying. But the kind of man he was, if I loved the Father, I could see. I could love the Father, I cannot see. That's why it says, honor your mother and fathers. It doesn't make any difference how wicked they are. They don't know their wickedness. They don't see it. And those who see it, God bless them, they get better. But those who never will see it, and you can't make them see it, it's not my job for me to make you see anything. I just want to be able to speak to you in a way that you say, I see what you mean. See? But in other words, you actually see it. The words multiply themselves endlessly. The few words that you read in the Bible is only the tip of the iceberg. It's the minute you understand it's yours. And you begin to see with another eye. And the scribes and Pharisees, I'll get you there in a minute, the Pharisees had all knowledge and no common sense. What is modern today, those with the degrees have all knowledge and no common sense. And even though they can do very good things if they want to and understand science, I understand science more than they do. I already understand how the universe was created because that's one of the things I was born to know, to understand it. I only found out about a year ago. I know it, and I just heard that a huge college or college, like I can't write. University, thank you. University is beginning to say that even though they don't know what can't find the word. I've lost the word.
Gravity?
Gravity. Yes, thank you. They don't know what gravity is. They have no idea. Somehow it works. They don't know whether it's a pull or a push. But even so, they know that gravity is the mother of all others, all the others. And just recently, there's a sense that there must be another fundamental underneath gravity. Gravity was always the mother of everything, mother of all the others. But they're just beginning to see it, but I already had it. I won't share it with you. But it would make religion and science one. That's all I can tell you. One day I will share it. I have a book written with 100 pages, and It's possible it's possible when you understand that last one, underneath gravity. Just is the void. In the beginning there was the void. You can't have gravity. You can't have anything in a void. Then you say, just if you don't mind me saying it, and then God said, let there be light. Get it? Both of those, accordingly, the one that is light, when God says, let there be light, what it means, it's light forever. Something infinitely hot, infinitely still. There's a reason for that, infinitely still. But that void is forever. The void can't create anything. The void can't, but something did. And they called it a singularity. They call it what the Bible says in the very beginning. In the beginning there was the void and darkness on the face of the deep. This is absolutely correct. And then he says, God says, let there be light. That light is forever, and it's still there with great proof. It's still there forever, ever hot, flowing into the cold. That's gravity. That's one string of it. But it turns slowly but surely. It turns like a winding of a ball of string. So you got the dimensions of space. You see that? You get the I lost some of the words I want, but you have the gravity. I wish I could find the words for it. I'm sorry, but I'm getting old, and some things disappear, but I still know what it is, and that's all the matter is for me, but maybe not for you, because I have chosen the wrong words. I can see that. Yeah, I see that. Anyway, but then what happens is, what is the infinitely hot? Where did it come from? If there's a void, what is the realm of, what is the realm of that's beyond the void? Is there something beyond the void? Something good? Is there something bad beyond the void? We don't know. All we know there is for us the void. And what we know is the infinitely hot, called a singularity in physics. Because the temperature of the world is still expanding, is still there and never stops. And they found out that the fact that the universe is expanding can only expand if the void is there. The balloon cannot blow up unless something is blowing it. The universe is expanding, and the temperature is the same. And while it's expanding, you see, there's the let there be light. And that meets that. If you look at it for spiritually, it cannot be. The void cannot produce anything. Something is beyond it. And that something is me. That something is you. That something, whatever that is, no monkey, no nothing on this earth can have it, only us. And when we come into the world, we lose it. But we have conflict. A baby can't be a sinner, can he? But when you come into the world and you have the mother and the father failing, so the mother affects the child, and everything goes wrong. And you can blame the father, not the woman. She needs another Adam, and that's Jesus. And that's the beginning of the end of bad or good. And God says, unless he intervenes, there'll be no one survive. That's correct. That all makes sense Now, I'm going to go back to my beginning. I was born. My brother wasn't. My brother died hating me every day, even though I took him to Africa. I wanted to get out of England. I thought South Africa would be it. It was a beautiful country. It was so beautiful that we're treating the black people horribly. I can remember waiting to go to Johannesburg. Now I'm talking about stories. And looking at the diamonds in the store. I'm a diamond cutter by profession. I made my living there. I took my brother there, etc., etc. I put him through school. He became an architect. And he hates my guts. Because some people, when you help, they feel inferior and hate you for it. See that? They're jealous. He's dead now. But anyway, just to make it simple, would you like it really, really simple? Okay. I wasn't touched. For some reason, I was carefree. I would play with the toys that my father worked during the war. All the different electrical things. I made things. I made just everything I want to make. I just don't understand how it works, but I was able to understand it and teach myself almost everything. It was just fun. I could do 16 Morse code and all the rest of it. I've lost all that. But what my father gave me wasn't much. He was always there. He's always there, like God is always there. But you could see him every now and then. He's busy. He's busy with watches and making a living. My uncle wouldn't help him, who was a diamond cutter, and I went to be a diamond cutter. That gave me the ability to make a living and be able to talk to you now. I saved my money. I saved it. I said, what am I doing with this money? I'm doing very well with it. I don't know what to do with it, but I'm doing with it now, if you understand that. See? So, but here's something very important. And I may stop after this because I tend to make 2 hours and 3 hours go past very quickly. But I don't think I've ever said this before. I can remember, let me just say this. When I was 6 or 7 years old, played with my cousin Arnold. And we had fun. And one day, he was cruel. And I felt a punch in my chest. I said, how that feels like a stone. 7 years old. Why is that? Well, I left it alone. That's one. Then I looked out my aunt's window that comes out into the street a little bit. And in England, we had tremendous fog. I would see the person coming out of the fog into the view, into the fog again. And I had a feeling of suicide at 6 or 7 years old. I said, what's that? It went away. And I should have said, when my cousin was cruel to me, and I felt the shock, I said, why does it feel like a shock, a stone? Why is it solid? I never knew. And the interesting thing, the very fact that I watched it and not know it, but saw that it was strange and wrong, it went away. What does this say? What does this say? I had intuition. Leave it alone. I did. And you know what? Everything after that didn't bother me. Instead of having the shock let me see. I'm now 26 years old, 25 years old. I'm at somebody's um, pool. I'm a good swimmer. I used to swim 6 miles. I can only do 3 now if I try. But as I was sitting there with my arm, you know how it is with your crossed legs, like Jesus sitting there. All of a sudden, something says, potato. What? Potato? Potato? It kept coming back. Potato. What is hell going on? I'm watching it. All of a sudden, it was just a silly noise. Yes, I know it. It's called a potato. It's outside myself. It isn't in myself. But if you love potatoes, a potato is inside you, an equivalent to a potato inside you, and the potato wants to be eaten. It's like a hunger, because you've got the word, but you got the word and not the meaning. The meaning, the word is the meaning, and the object. The trouble is, you're addicted to the object, and so therefore the object inside you wants the object outside you, and that is, I don't know what you can call it. It's addiction. You have thoughts in your head, and as you get thoughts in, you get your hunger for it. It wants to find it. It wants to eat it. It wants to reinforce the pleasure of it, which distracts you from the problem, which I found out for a long time. I have nothing I'm looking for. I have nothing in the world I'm looking for, but this is what happened to me. I never responded to anything again. I never had an emotion again. Emotion is for animals, not for humans. So when a person is sick, they want the life of another person, and they upset them. And when they upset them, as I said earlier, what comes from me becomes them. Or if they're rude to me, I react, and something of them comes into me, and from that moment, it grows and never stops. And the root of all your problems is resentment. The word resentment means to feel again. Resentment leads to anger, frustration, judgment. And the hunger to feel good, see. But every time somebody brings good to you, drugs, alcohol, sex, they are destroying you. If you accept the drug, if you accept the sex, which you shouldn't, because the sex gives you a feeling, and human beings that are broken have feelings. If you drop dead right now, if she dropped dead right now, I would have no feeling. But otherwise, I die. When you see when you're addicted to someone and they die, you're in the grave with them. But if Jesus comes, he's not in the grave. If you love him, rather than love others who rise to the occasion like the pusher, or the wife that's the pusher, or the woman that's the pusher, and gives you a sense of worthless worth. And then you go and make a lot of money and have more will and more sex and whatever it is. Because everything that's material, everything that has sense and sensibility and feelings, that's what you're after, and you can feel better. But as the hunger arises for drugs, you're actually drawing up from the darkness of the jungle of Brazil, somewhere. Actually, you're looking for something that rises up. And when you're having sex with a woman, when you don't really love her, but you're using her, and you can use her while you're married and not realize, and it looks like love in the beginning, but it ends up with one of you hating the other. And if the woman hates, she feels guilty because she's decent. And when she's guilty, when she's decent, she starts to have an effect. She starts to feel like wanting to help him. And every time you help him, he becomes emboldened. And every time he becomes emboldened, he wants more. And he pressures you for more. Or he's a weasel, and he weasels you for that. And you have contempt for him. Contempt is anger. And see, what I'm saying is what you need is to find the place where where your thoughts and your mind is not subject to the world, to the scribes and Pharisees, to the spoken word. I can see. When I see you, I can read you. When you speak, and Obama spoke, and he says, fundamental transformation. And everybody says, hooray, everything's getting better. No, he meant worse. In other words, he set Obama, Donald Trump up with spies now. He just was going to destroy this country had you all got Trump, how you all began to see that there's some substance in this man, completely opposite. But the trouble is, half the country, more than half the country, love him. Because they see freedom as whatever they want to do to you. See? And yes, there was a caller. Did you want to say something? I'm sorry. I did remember you with my memory.
Well, I went through an interesting experience sitting here when you were talking about the transference, what gets transferred from a mother to a daughter. And I realized really deep that it could all stop right now.
Yes.
And part of it did. I saw something so deep.
Isn't that beautiful? That's beautiful.
And I understood about not letting it go forward.
But did you see when I said, when my cousin, who was about a year older than me, and I was 8 and he was 9, when he punched me, it wasn't a punch, what he said. No, that wasn't touch. All I did was, I wonder, what's that? How did that be? Now,
but I have
that was the answer. The fact that that's the answer. To see the fault.
But up until now, it's not been like that.
What?
I've not seen it as clear
as that
today.
Yes, it is that clear.
It's very clear for me.
My wife is here, and when I talk to her, she doesn't see it. She acts like she sees it. She doesn't. I'm concerned. I'm not worried, because worry is a lie. Your worry doesn't cure anything. All I see is I keep doing it. 64 years, I keep doing it. I never stop till death do us part. The fact that she doesn't see it and gets disturbed sometimes, doesn't disturb me. I'm strong. I make sure she hears it, but not accept it. She doesn't have to accept it. But I cannot stop offering it.
Anyway.
That's it. Yes, now it's your. Oh, do you only have one microphone? All right.
I wanted to comment on the. I've been noticing more and more. I've been noticing more and more the difference between intuition and the spirit of knowledge.
Intuition.
Yes, and the knowledge of good and evil and how they oppose each other. And when I was little, like in high school, I barely made it through, and I saw all these people going to college after high school, and I was so repulsed by the memory, the way because they really rob you of intuition unwittingly.
Of course.
So I just threw all that out the window, and I just became a driver for 25 years. I didn't want any education. That's not the right thing. It wasn't smart, but that's turned around, and I've got into another field. It took me a while, but that spirit of intuition, it's as though you know nothing, but you're not trying to hold on to the truth, which is the spirit of the knowledge of good and evil. And when I tried to hold on to it, I could be whatever I wanted in my mind, but it wasn't real. It wasn't getting rid of the anger. But in the intuition, it demands real courage and to be helpful to people and to take the flack from it. And through that, I'm loved, and it's just a totally different way.
What you're trying to say, I think, is you just look at something, whatever it is, and there's a scripture, which I'm forgetting some of them, but trials and tribulations, they make you stronger.
Right. And I believe that I know with me, that blocks people, because when you are out of your head and you're connected to intuition, it's going to demand courage, and it's such a blessing to.
It's to make it simple. You can pull a gun, it doesn't move. You can call me all the filthy words. You can push your finger in my face, and for some reason they drop it. Mm-hmm. But what I'm saying is that you are no longer acting for yourself.
Right.
You've given your truth to your Creator, and therefore your intuition comes alive. And I'm sitting here not knowing what to say next.
Right.
But I'm saying it next. And so whenever questions rise, I listen. I didn't expect what the question is, and I know how to answer it.
Right.
It comes to me. I don't have to think. I don't have to figure it out. I know what the words. I can actually see the words I'm missing. Mm-hmm. But somehow you understand that. See? Yeah. You help me sometimes. Education. Look at the scribes and Pharisees just for a second. He said to them, Jesus, they see, but don't perceive. See?
Right.
They hear, but they don't understand. See, words cover. Fundamental transformation to me. Wow. They couldn't see through it.
Right.
I'm using words that you never heard before. And so I'm using words not like your preacher. I'm using words to get you to see how simple it is. Just look at yourself. Just look at your thoughts. Just become aware. But a lot of people, you can't do that. They have to get upset so they don't have to see.
Yeah.
And when they don't see it, it looks like you're being rude.
Yeah.
And they get angry with you. But when they get angry with you, they get worse. Because I don't get angry. I don't get upset. And it upsets them to upset me.
Yes.
And the more they try to upset me, the more upset they become, and the better I become.
Right.
And something's coming across I can't feel. I can't feel. You can't make me feel.
Mm-hmm.
If I sit on a hot stove, I feel it. But there's no resentment. It's just a hot stove.
Yeah.
Oh, that's silly. I got off. You get off, so to speak. But it's important not to have emotion. And God takes the emotion away, because emotion is how we transfer to each other.
Right.
Doing unto others what was done to them. But if somebody does something wrong to me and takes my money, whatever it is, if I just look at them, what is just by standing there, something speaking to them, I can't see it, but they can. They get frustrated. Most of them walk away.
Right.
And I hate to say this, when I was in the military, I never lost a fight. I didn't have to do anything. All of a sudden, they're laying on the floor. I'm 250 pounds. I don't remember doing it. I'm not. I can't say it's me.
Right. But yet
It isn't me.
But yet you don't have emotion. But yet I still hear a strength and a passion.
That's
it's
it.
something that seems like emotion, but it's coming from a calm center.
That's right.
Yeah.
It takes away the emotion.
Right.
Takes away emotions. Emotions are the extension of what's wrong with you. And it blinds you. If I upset you, all I have to do is upset you, and you're mine. And that's a hypnotic state. You all live in a hypnotic state, the bully and the cowards, and nothing can stop them. Only those who are Marxists on the left, which is in this country, they understand it. Accuse others of what you are. And if I accuse you of what I do, then you don't know how to deal with it. You take it on, just because you become suggestible by reacting. You try to make me react. I'm almost 90. All bad things happen. I mean, terrible things. Even death. And shouldn't make any difference. If he drops dead, I've lost my problem. And if he becomes a better person, it works. It works for me both ways. But the other way, it doesn't work for you both ways. You can't be an appeaser and go to heaven. And that comes back to my subject on this Memorial Day. They died for you to live, and then you forget them. And when you forget them, you come back to being an appeaser and to bullies. And most of the country are appeasers, trying to be peace. And ISIS understands what I'm talking about. He doesn't have to be what I said before a few minutes ago, Marxist. They understand it. But ISIS understands it too. All these bombs are meant to demoralize you, to make you appease. To make you appease. And if you had Obama, the appeasement would grow. And all the bad people would come in. And then you have to fight them, because they take away. Because they come in because on the behest of him. Allow them in. Allow them in so that there are more of them than there is of us. And our culture disappears, what's left of it. We need, you need not to be a bully, but what you need to be is impregnable, so to speak. You need to have no feeling for anybody at all. Because if you have a feeling for someone, you're playing God. That's it. If you look for feelings, it's to raise you up. But it's actually raising you down away from him, if you accept that. And so you become malleable to the other side. You have to drop your emotion, but you do not know how to do it until you do that meditation. That's so that you can cross. Let me say it again. Be still and know. And those, unless you can be still, stand back and see the thought, which is in time. And you can see it from a place of no time. When you're looking at your thought, oh, there's a thought. Just like the feeling in my stomach, like a stone hit it. All I did, without knowing what I was doing, was not being angry with my cousin Arnold. I was just saying, what's that? That's all it is. What's that? And you will know. Even if you don't know, it will pass. It's not important until it can appear in another way. That's all. It doesn't take more than that. Just realize your resentment as if it was something powerful. And it's all it does is makes you a bully or a coward. Doesn't make any difference. You're a coward before a bully and a bully before a coward. I mean, a owner of a country has a fight with his wife and he loses. He loses his cool. He runs out and takes it out on the foreman. The foreman takes it out on the workers. And then the workers go home to their wives and piss them off. And the wife turns around because she is upset and she takes out on the kids. And the kids take it out on the other kids. And the small ones are found taking wings off of butterflies for pleasure.
Your brother was such a bastard, excuse me, that he constantly tried to put you down
He didn't.
to me.
He didn't. He didn't.
Yes, he did.
He died.
Tried.
He died from it. Let it go.
That's right.
Okay, let it go. Now, did you understand, young lady? Did you understand what I was saying? If you want to get married, you got to, would you mind? Let me just talk to them. Just understand, I can't help you. If you are hungry for her, you cannot be hungry for her. In other words, you didn't understand me then.
I understand a little bit about hypnosis, but not a
No,
whole
no,
lot.
no. I understand a little bit about hypnosis. It's not an answer.
Okay, I'm sorry. I've lived in this valley for over 30 years.
Yes.
I was born in Medford. My wife and I have been divorced for 27 years,
I understand that.
and we came down here with hopes that maybe you could.
Look, I can marry you.
Thank
It's
you.
none of my business. See, the reason why you sit here, hopefully, is not look for approval from your wife. And the reason why you are 27 years from your last marriage is need, or maybe something to do with understanding, more mature. And as you're more mature, you do not look to her for pleasure. You do not look for her. It has to be her. And it's got to be, if it's her, you've got to be careful she wants something for you. You have. Yeah,
wants-
that's right. No, and let me say, I'm just talking about anybody. This is not just her. I'm just taking you as an example.
Okay.
When you have relationships, it must be not by compulsion to want something to make you feel better than you deserve. You have to wait for your wife to share with you herself. But you can't, you must not, in your hunger nag her, push her to make you feel better through sex. If you understand that.
Yeah, I understand that. Sex is not
It's
a problem
it's
between
her
us.
it's her call. It's her call. In other words, the fact that you hold back, in a sense, to hold back is not to push. And even a certain point, I'm going to carry it the first, even a certain point, she may be unkind, not what you think, but to use you for her own power.
Oh.
No, I'm saying this not to you, but to everybody. Since the subject of marriage comes up, I talk to you this way. Not that it affects you at all. I'm just saying for everybody in the room.
Oh, okay.
See? Not just you, because you're going to get married. That's all. And I'll be happy to do it. And all you have to have is the equipment, and it's all done in a few minutes. God bless you. That's all I can say. But I'm saying this. Who understands? I want the ladies in this room. The ladies in this room, do you understand what I'm saying? Yes. You do, don't you? Yes. That's good. In other words, there's a certain grace in a man that when he courts her, even though he has impulse, he watches it in a sense, and waits for the proper time. There's always a proper time for everything. A proper time, and I know what proper time is. So on a different standard other than marriage, I don't have to do anything. I don't have to feel anything. I don't have to describe anything. I don't have to prepare anything unless I can see it. Unless I can see it. That's all. It's just the scribes and Pharisees, again, makes the point. All words, the knowledge of evil and the knowledge of good are exactly the same. Because Obama used fundamental transformation, but it had a different meaning inside. And you didn't see it. Only didn't see it because you're in a position where it's valuable to you. See? But if it's valuable to you, you're caught in it like so many people. And so there's all of you that does nothing, and there's only a few of you that work and pay taxes to give everything who do nothing. Thank you. I'm done. I just want you to bless our soldiers and not take your freedom as if it's thank you for your service. It's more than that. They are dead. And for that death, they expect you to be like them. And when they come home, they're not like them. They throw tomatoes at them. And you didn't stand up. You didn't stand up to fight, to greet them. They throw tomatoes at them and yell and scream. There's nobody to get between them and say, how dare you? You never, and nearly all of you appeased. You appeased, and you appeased to keep the peace. I don't care about keeping peace. Not that way. And you're going to be overcome by ISIS because they're using the same thing. They're radicalizing them. Every time they blow something up and cut somebody's head off and boil them in oil, and you're shocked about it. They've got you and make you more of an appeaser and more that you can lose your country. If you want to look at it, don't react. You see what it is, you stay calm. That's it. If you don't stay calm, you've lost your intuition. The game is being played. It hopes that you're going to be emotional, and it isn't with me. And when dangerous things come, if you are calm, I'll give you a little story before I go, just to make it a point. There's a woman combing her hair just before she's going to sleep. The window smashed open, and in come a bad guy. Hello, want a cup of tea? That's the attitude. Ah! Kills you. Any reaction to it emboldens him. But to smile and have an aura around you, the aura around you is you can't see it. They see it. It's not just words. It's an aura. An aura you cannot see. There's no emotion. And when there's no emotion, you can't feel anything, but they do. And they try to hurt you more. It has the same effect. None. And it upsets them. And they have to, listen, when a person wants to hurt you, this stupid people, you stupid so-and-so. And it's the first thing they do to irritate you. It doesn't. And then they push you, and it doesn't bother you. It really doesn't bother you. And because there's no emotion for him to translate him into you. And when that happens, he doesn't know what to do because there's something invisible coming across. You can't feel it, they do. Now you don't know that, but that's my strength, is him in me and me in them. Thank you very much for coming. Love your soldiers. Appreciate them. And don't say, how they say it. Thank you for your service. And just a noise. Just a noise. But if it's well sent, it has nice thing. But if the country has listened to me, if I can get the country to listen to me, we would overcome the Marxists on the other side, and we will overcome them. They will try to overcome them, but we will overcome them instead, because we won't respond. We will take our ground and leave them crying because they can't get to you. And then we can become a whole country, because they are being tutelized, they are being tutored to do to them. And this is what they're blaming us, what they do. All of them are blaming, all the sick ones are blaming us for what's wrong with them. See? So they see us reacting. That's all you want. And that means you're an appeaser. You don't want to try it with me. I'm old. Am I not as strong as I used to be? But there's a big daring danger if you mess with me. That's all. And it should be with you. It should be with you as well. I'm only saying it not because it's mine. It's because God is in Jesus, and Jesus is in me, and I'm in you. And if I'm in you in a proper way, you get it. And you become one of them, one of us. And then you'll be able to do others what was done unto you. And then you can do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Done. Thank you very much.